Hello, I'm going to move you a little bit. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a brand new video. Happy New Year, because as you're watching this, it is actually New Year's Day. I was going to have it up on the Saturday beforehand. However, my adapter to my laptop will not take my memory card, and I'm having issues trying to transfer the footage. I can do it on my phone, but it takes one, longer, wastes battery of my camera, and three, it just wastes the memory of my phone. So do with that what you wish. But if you're new here, then my name is Amelia. I upload book content and lifestyle content. And if you're not new here, then welcome back. Welcome to a new year of my channel. I'm so excited for this year. I'm uploading twice a week. Hence another reason why I didn't upload on Saturday. Because we've just finished Bookmas. And I'm now, instead of uploading this, I'm going to upload from Wednesday onwards. So you're going to have Wednesdays and Saturdays at 6 PM and content of me. I hope you're excited, because I'm very excited. For this video, it is going to be a long one. So I say grab a drink. I have a tea. And I have some water, because that's going to be way too hot to drink right now. And I've got a lot of talking to do. Grab a drink, stay hydrated, get comfortable, get your book. If you want to hear me talk about books while reading, do that. I have about 70 books to talk about, because we have hit our 70 book goal of 2024. I have put the goal back to 60 for next year, because it was getting a bit impossible to do 70. Like, it was a bit stressful. I literally hit 70 on Christmas Eve, and that is because work was so quiet that I got to read a whole novella at work. Otherwise, when I'm filming this video, I'd still be on 69. I have actually got a list here, because last year I tried to do this. The video didn't go up because the footage was bad. But I tried to do it and it was a bit chaotic. I have actually set up organised piles of books in the order of when I read them, roughly like each month. So like they're all around me. I'm literally closed in by books right now. And I have a list, so I know exactly what rating I gave them, because some of them I don't remember because it's been months. So I've got paper, I've got books. We're going to talk about, if you haven't guessed by the title, about all the books that I read in 2024. So I am going to quickly do the stats with you. Like, I don't do my usual wrap-ups, but I feel like because it's the end of year, we want to do some stats, right? So I will try and also pop them up on screen as I talk about them. Who knows that will actually happen. So in total, we read 70 books. I am filming this on Boxing Day, so there's a chance I might finish a book between now and New Year's Eve. However, I'm not holding out hope for it, because I'm feeling a little bit slumpy at the moment. So I'm taking it easy. I'm doing a reread, so it doesn't even bother me if I don't count that towards my goal. I might, like, towards the books I read. Yeah. So we've read 70 books. And that was 28,287 pages. That's a lot of pages to consume in 1 year. And 70 books is a lot of books to consume in the year. Apparently, the average time for me to finish a book is 8 days, which sounds about right. I'm not the fastest reader. I'm also not the slowest reader. I just usually finish a book a week. It's usually a book a week for me, and it depends on the size of the book. The most books I read was in the moods of emotional, funny and light-hearted. Sounds about right. I like a little bit of light-heartedness. I like a little bit of funny. And I love the emotions. Anything I can pull at my heartstrings and make me want to cry. Yes. Majority of the books I read were medium paced. They weren't fast. They weren't slow. They were just a good in the middle. And then the page numbers, the most of them at 67%, was 300 to 499 pages. And all of my books were fiction. Not a spoiler at all. There is nothing to suggest I'd read non-fiction. I try, and I'm currently like 10% in to a non-fiction book right now. I'm trying, guys. It is a goal of mine next year to actually fully read a non-fiction book. Just one, but still. My most common genre is romance and contemporary with a bit of fantasy. I feel like this year I've definitely delved more into my fantasy compared to the other years. So I've got a bit of a bunged up nose. If you hear me sniffle, that is why. And I have like a little bit of like a swollen gum here, but I own full. And then, oh, my most read authors are Sarah J. Maas, Abby Jimenez, Elsie Silver, Stephanie Garber, Lauren Roberts, Jennifer Lynn Barnes, J.K. Rowling, Jessica Hastings, Anna Huang. Yeah. And that's like with Sarah J. Maas and Abby Jimenez, that's 4 books each. And my average rating is 4.2 stars, which is a very good average rating, to be honest. Considering, I can be very nice with my ratings, I think. And this video always gets me because this is the time where I will look back and go, do I actually want to keep it at that rating? And then sometimes I put the rating down or put it up, depending on how I think about it. So, let's get cozy, let's get comfortable, let's talk about the books. I'm gonna like pull my sleeves up because I'm wearing a jumper and I'm getting extremely hot. But I don't want to get changed because I really love this jumper. One of Ellen Catherine's designs from Literature Stitches. Love it so much. And my cup matches it, look. Okay, this is going to be I can see it being an extremely long chatty video, so I do want to apologise now. My hair is not done in a nice way because I just want it out of my face, not in my face, so I've just done that. I apologise now for the amount of talking you're going to get from me because I like to ramble, I like to chat, and I like to chat about books. And this is my safe space to do so. So, yeah. So we're going to start with January. Like I said, trusty paper here, trusty books here. Let's get on with it. So, I'm not going to go in order which book I read first, just because I don't always remember which one I read first. Some of them are in the order of what I read first in a month, but they're in an order of like the month anyway. So first of all was Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home. Do I need to talk much about this? Do I need to talk much about this book? I can't actually work out which of the Magnolia Park's books I love the most. Like, I genuinely cannot tell you, because out of the 3 Magnolia ones, because I love all of them. But I do think it's a tie between this one and Into the Dark. They just have my heart. And like the emotions thrown around in this book, oh my god, the ending, oh my god. This was my, when I first originally rated this, I gave it 4.75 stars. I gave it because when I was reading it, I started in the middle of December last year. And I was kind of in a bit of a slump at that point. And I was extremely busy. And when I started January, I was still in that bit of a slump, which is why I struggled with this book at first. But then I got into it and I fell in love with it. I actually upped the rating to 5 stars. Because there's no way, like we were in like end of February, beginning of March, and I was still thinking about this book. Like, if I'm still thinking about that book at that point, and everything is still ingrained in me, to the point where when I picked up the last book of Magnolia, BJ's story, and I remembered vividly what happened, even though it was like a few months beforehand, that's when I know this was a 5 stars. So this is definitely a 5-star rating. Absolutely loved it. Phenomenal. Phenomenal writing. Jessica Hastings, I love you. I don't know what you put in these books, but I need Daisy. I need all the more books. I need more books. Come on. Bring them out. Please. Please. I actually did not plan where I put in this when I finish. Behind me. Yeah. Then we have Reckless by Elsie Silver. This book got me out of that slump. I finished Magnolia Parks one night, and I think it was like a Tuesday night. It had to have been, because it was, yes, I remember now. It was a Tuesday night. Don't know why I remember specifically the day, because it was January and we're now in December. But I do remember because it was around my birthday week, and that's why I remember. I finished Magnolia Parks on a Tuesday night, cried my eyes out. If you know, you know. And then the next day I went to work and it was quiet-ish, and so I picked up my Kindle and started Reckless by Elsie Silver. It was for a video, it was for a continued series video, so it wasn't like I was just picking it up because I didn't know what to read. I picked it up because it was part of that video, but oh my god, I was hooked on this book from the beginning to the end. I literally just pulled me out of that slump that I was in so quickly. I loved this so much. You're following Winter and Theo Silver and Winter. Winter is Summer's sister, and Theo is like a family, basically family of the Eaters. They're not actually, he's not actually biologically related. He just was taken under their wing. And oh my god, it's like an accident to pregnancy trope, and oh my god, the way it was written, I was hooked from the start to the finish, and I love it. Also, I'm going to have to start doing my videos this way now because I actually like this view. I have so many issues filming like my sit down videos because I never know where to sit. I love this one. Sorry, random. But I love this book. I gave it 5 stars. Obviously, January was a good month because we had pretty good ratings for all the books. So, yeah. Absolutely, thoroughly enjoyed Reckless and would definitely read it again. Like, I really want to do a reread of the Chestnut Spring series soon. Video coming up your way some point this year, either January or February time, with reread books. I know that Full Swing is in there because I feel I did that in August and I'm keeping the footage for that. Thinking of doing, well, I'm doing the fine print by Lauren Asher and I'm considering doing Flawless for the next one. We'll see. But absolutely love this book. I would love to reread this one because I didn't annotate this one because I read it all on the Kindle. So I would love to reread it and annotate this book. But obviously I want to start from the beginning of the series, not the end. Then we have Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. Everyone who knows me knows Lauren Asher is one of my favourite authors in the world. The Dreamland Billionaire series was like my favourite series I've ever read. Hands down. I loved it so much that I would hands down go back and read it again. I am. And I was considering just doing a whole video just rereading those books, but I know I won't want to read them all at the same time, so I'm not doing that. But you might get 3 reread vlogs next year because I feel like this is next year's going to be the year of rereading some books and getting through my TBR. But this book, the first book in the Lakefront Billionaire series, I know not everyone loved it. This has got mixed reviews. However, I was obsessed. I wanted more, and considering the length of this book, I wanted more of their story. I was obsessed. I just loved it so much. I think this is the first book this year that I've really tabbed. Like, if you can see those, annotate those tabs. I haven't tabbed a book in a while, but oh my god, this book just had me in a chokehold. I said it was a 6-star read when I read it. I don't think it's a 6-star. I definitely still say it's 5 stars. But I'm dethroning it from that 6-star rating because I don't fully remember what happened in this book. I loved it. I remember loving it at the time. And I remember my feelings at the time. I remember I was in a chokehold for it. And Lauren Asher's writing could do no wrong in my eyes. But I don't fully remember everything that happened. Like, I do remember mostly, but yeah. So 5 stars. 5 stars, bear with me. Okay, next we have the novella in the ACOTAR series, A Court of Frost and Starlight. I do always forget I read this book this year because it just feels like I listened to this as an audiobook, to be honest, and that is why I don't remember reading it. I actually listened to this on my whole journey to Portsmouth and to my friend's house on my birthday, and that's how I remember I read it. But yeah, I could not tell you much about this novella. I do want to do an ACOTAR reread at some point. And when I do that, I will probably fully read the physical copy of this. I do remember enjoying it. I think it was a good, like, nice little break from the heaviness you've had in the past few books. But it wasn't my favourite. I did like the heaviness and the dramatics of the actual big books. But it was a nice little, like, a nice little breather. So I actually gave this a 3 stars because I just felt like it was a novella. It didn't give much to me, but it was cute, and it did set up nicely for the next book in the series. Sorry, this bugged up nose is really annoying me. I don't know where it came from. Oh, is my tea cold now? It's not cold, but okay. That was January's books. We only read 4 books in January. It was, like I said, I was getting out of a slump. It was my birthday month. I had a lot going on. So I didn't read much. However, moving on to February, can I speak? February, we read a lot. We read quite a bit. And considering that was a month, I did a show. And I went to London for a whole weekend. And did I do anything else? No, I think that was it for February. But I did a show and I went to London for a whole weekend. It was a busy month. I read so much. Now, there was a few novellas in there. I got ill with a really bad cold. Like, a really bad cold to the point where I had to work from home. And I don't often work from home. So, that kind of helped me get through some books. But they're not always... in the way I'm reading it, it's not in the order I read it. Because I don't remember the order I read it. But I know it wasn't the order. But first of all, I read To Destroy Me, the first novella of the Shatter Me series. I don't remember a thing that happened in that. I don't have the books with me anymore because I've actually unhauled them. I read Shatter Me and was like, it was good, and I remember going, okay, now I want the rest of the books. Anytime I went to pick up a book from it, I was like, I don't want to read it. And I feel like one day I might, and if I do, I'll probably just get it on Kindle because it'll be easier. I just don't have that, like, urge to read that book. So I don't remember. I gave Destroy Me a 2.5 stars. And I'm not really sure why. So I'm going to put that down to 1 star. Because since then I haven't picked up a book and I unhauled the series. So don't hate me, guys. I'm sorry. I know Shatter Me is such a beloved series by a lot of people. But in my opinion, I just didn't get it. And maybe it's just a bit late to the party. I just didn't love it as much. But if you love it, good on you. Oh my god. Okay. Next. Oh, I just knocked a book. Next, we read a book that had been on my TBR since 2022. And I said if I didn't get to it this year, it was getting unhauled. And I think I said it in the first half of the year, if I didn't read it this year, it's getting unhauled because I cannot be seeing it and not really picking it up. And it was The Spanish Love Deception. Now, I didn't hate this book. I didn't love this book. It was a bit of a 50-50. Like, I enjoyed some of it, but I was just like, it didn't leave me with any memorable memories or feelings. I just remember going, eh. And like being so desperate to get through it because I just couldn't be bothered. I think everyone knows the story of this. Catalina needs a wedding date. She ends up taking her worst enemy, the person she hates in her workplace, and yeah. It was meh. I gave it 3 stars. I did think the writing was good, but it did then make me unhaul The American Roommate Experiment, which is the second book in her series of this one. And I also unhauled The Long Game because I don't think I was ever going to read it, but I think I still got it up there, so I might pick it back up, but I don't know. I just don't love it. Didn't love it. Didn't hate it. 3 stars. Average. I feel like I'm going to get so much hate for saying this book. But the next one was Hopeless by Elsie Silver. Finally finished the Chestnut Spring series this year. Thank you very much. Thank you for that round of applause. I did not love this one. Like, I didn't love the age gap between Bo and Bailey. Is her name Bailey? I don't really remember, but I'm assuming her name was Bailey. Yeah, Bailey. I was right. I knew from going in it was an age gap, so like that didn't throw me off. It was just the way they were, and in fact it's the way he was, the way he acted. I know he's got PTSD and a lot of, like, I obviously don't know what it's like going from being in the army to like having his whole life changed up for him and all the PTSD he has to follow, but it just kind of felt he was being very immature about a lot of things, and he was meant to be the adult and grown up whilst Bailey was the younger one. And I just didn't like it. I just got really annoyed and irritated, and I was like, and again, I don't know if it's because I was going through a kind of slump at the time when I read this, and maybe that was the reason I didn't love it. But yeah, I gave it a 3.75 stars. We've missed 2 off. I'm going to go back to it. I forgot to look at my paper. I was looking at the books down here. But I gave it 3.75 stars. It was good. It was okay. But out of all of the Chestnut Spring series, this was not my favourite. Sorry, guys. Sorry. The 2 I missed off were actually ones on my Kindle. They were novellas from the, I don't remember what it was called, but it was like the Improbable Romance or something like that. Novellas that they had on Amazon Prime. They were like really short. A lot of popular authors did one. I think the Improbable Meet Cute series or something like that. So the first one that I read was Rosie and the Dreamboat by Sally Thorne. She is the author of The Hating Game. And I enjoyed it. Again, these novellas were very quick. They were very much like insta love, that's it, cute. There was nothing big to it, so there's not really much of a review. I gave that one I actually really enjoyed it, considering I gave it 3 stars. I gave that book 3 stars. It was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. So I've got pins and needles on my foot. I'm trying to find something cold to try and cut down the pins and needles. And then I read The Worst Wingman Ever by Abby Jimenez. Now, I was like, I said novella, I can't give it more than 3 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed that novella. Like, I was obsessed. I literally can still think about it. This one, like, I don't remember the characters' names, but I do remember the man in their book put a letter on the window of our female main character, and it was meant to be for his brother's, like, love interest, or, like, someone he had a crush on, and it was the wrong car. And then it went from there on. They were, like, exchanging letters through the windshield, and then they eventually meet. It was just adorable, and I loved it. It was so cute. I gave it 3.5 stars. Oh, books. I'm surrounded by books. I'm just a bit overwhelmed. It's okay. Next, we have Twisted Lies by Anna Huang. I finally finished the Twisted series, guys. I started this series in 2022, the end of 2022, but still. I finally picked up the final book. Now, this book scared the crap out of me to pick up. I honestly cannot tell you, because look at the length of it, and it's the final book, and I feel like this is a book I had high hopes for, because I thought this was going to be the only book that could top Twisted Games for me, because I love Twisted Games. I still think about it to this day, to the point where I'm thinking about upping that rating to 5 stars, because I can't. That book, all-time favourite. However, pick this one up. You're following Stella and Christian, and I actually thoroughly enjoyed this book. Again, I tabbed this one quite a bit. Not as much as Love Redesigned, but I did tab it quite a bit, and I really enjoyed this book, like, so much. I enjoyed everything, the stakes of it, everything about it. I was, like, obsessed. And I was down bad for Christian. Christian Harper or Reese Larson, like, come at me, come for me, please. Ultimate boyfriend in my eyes. I know they've got some, like, they're both, like, security people, but that's not the point. I love this book so much. I gave it a 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed this story. I really enjoyed everything about Stella's story. Stella is an influencer, and, like, so someone who does, like, YouTube and, like, social media, like, on the side of her normal job, like, and I love doing it, and it is something I kind of want to make a side job. This really hit me. I was like, yes, I love it. I love Stella. I love the book. I love everything. 4.5 stars. Second favourite in the whole series. So happy I finished that series now, but kind of sad, because I, like, really miss the Twisted series. Then we read a book that really shocked me, and you're going to think, why did it shock me? But you'll understand when I get to it. And it was Daisy Hates The Great Undoing. The reason this shocked me is the first book I didn't love. I didn't hate it, and I think it's because when I picked it up, I was in a slump, and I kept putting it off and putting it down. Oh, God. This is when you sit on your feet for so long, get pins and needles. What I do for you guys. I didn't love the first Daisy Hates book, so then reading this book, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to love it. Oh my God, I was hooked. From the beginning of this book to the end of this book, I just couldn't put it down. I loved it so much. I loved everything about it. I'm hooked. I already need Daisy and Christian's next book. I need it, like, now. And I love the snippets of Julian in the book as well. I actually just love everything about the whole book, and I want it. I love it. And I feel like if I reread Daisy Hates the first one, I think I might like it now. I think it was just at the time when I read it, it was just the wrong timing. But I love this book, so I gave it 5 stars. Oh. Sorry, I just moved my foot, and you know when you get pins and needles that bad that it hurts? Yeah. I need, like, a beanbag. Finally, in February, we read The Happy Ever After playlist by Abby Jimenez. This book. Abby Jimenez never fails. I read The Friend Zone as an audiobook the year before, in 2023. Loved it. It was so good. This book, I can't tell you how much I loved it. I was down bad for Jason in this book, the male love interest, and Sloane just had my heart from the get-go, because I read The Friend Zone and I knew what happened to something in Sloane's life. from the moment I read this book, it hit harder because I knew. And I know this is it's an interconnected standalone, so you could read this one without reading The Friend Zone. However, I do think to have the actual emotional impact this book had on me, you should read The Friend Zone first, because it then makes more sense. So, yes, I obviously, if you couldn't tell, I gave this book a 5 stars. I loved it so much. I would read it again in a heartbeat. I tabbed it so much. I actually read this one. This was a book I read when I was really ill, and I was struggling with breathing and like life, I guess. I wasn't that strong with life, but it was like I was really badly ill, and it was just like a week or two before show week, and I was like, I don't have time to be ill, but here I am. Where are we now? March. Let's move this pile. This pile is quite chunky. It's quite a few books in the March pile as well. Let's have a drink. Please stay hydrated. Please make sure you're staying hydrated. This is my little reminder in here to stay hydrated. I'm not gonna lie to you though, I cannot wait to finish this video so I can eat my lunch. My little reward is my Boxing Day lunch after this video, so if you guys want to be on my Be Real, let's go. I'm going to do my Be Real. You guys made my Be Real. My Be Real? My Be Real. Okay, that's done. So, in March, we read quite a few books as well this month, and I can't really remember why. I think I did... Oh, I did a 24-hour reading this month, that's why. First of all, in no particular order, we read The Goal by Elle Kennedy. This is the 4th book in the Off-Campus series. This is Sabrina and Tucker's story. Now, I didn't hate this book. I just got annoyed by this book a lot. Again, granted, I read this at the end of a 24-hour reading. So I was like, very much done with reading at this point. So that's probably one of the reasons I was like, I don't like this. I'm not loving this. But Sabrina annoyed me a little bit in this book, which is another reason why I didn't love it. So, yeah, I gave it a 3.5 stars. It was decent, it was good, but it wasn't my favourite. We then read Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. If you've read, you didn't watch one of them, because one of them actually did not go up because it is corrupted. R.I.P. Don't know what I just did that for. However, I picked it up, put it down, because I was not feeling it at first because it was so smutty at the beginning. I then was in my 24 hours of reading and was like, you know what, I'm going to pick it up because I need something lighthearted, and you'll see why when we get to the book later in this month, because the book I read before was quite chunky, quite heavy. It was a lot, it was emotional, it was everything, and you'll see in a bit. So now I've got a runny nose. So I was like, this is easy to pick up. I'm already 30% in. I just need to continue, and I'm glad I did pick it up because I'm glad I actually finished it, and I'm actually glad I read it. It was a fun book. It was average. It wasn't my favourite. I don't think I would give it. I gave it 3.75 stars. Wasn't my favourite book of the month. Wasn't the worst book of the month either. It's not even the worst book I've ever read. It just was because the beginning bit, first 30-40%, I was like, it's so smutty, I don't care. There is no chemistry here. All they're doing is having fucking sex. And then they're like going their own way, and I'm like, I don't care. But as the book went on, you got more into it. And actually, if you watch my 24-hour reading, you can see I was getting so annoyed with what Sabrina's like figure skating partner. Don't remember his name. Clearly wasn't worth remembering. He was annoying as hell, and I didn't like him. So yeah, that I did end up getting invested in the story of the book, so I think it was really good. 3.75. And that's these. We then read Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. Again, this was for a video that didn't go up because it got corrupted. So sorry you didn't see the footage of me reading this, being obsessed with this, crying about it, everything. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and when I was doing it, I did it for a popular book talk video. That's what I was reading this for, and I was toying between this and Binding 13 at the time, because I was like, they're two chunky books, I don't need 2 chunky books at a time. So I decided to go with this one, and I'm glad I did at the time, because at that point I don't think I was in the mood for Binding 13 at all. So I'm so bugged up, and I don't know why. I might have to have a lemon sip in a bit, because I need to get rid of this congestion. However, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I understand why some people don't love it. I really did enjoy it. I was hooked. And I think it's just because it was just, I don't know what it is. The way the story is told, it's kind of just felt like, I don't know how to describe it. I really don't. I'm not going to be describing things if you haven't figured that one out by now. However, I saw something on my wall that was freaking me out. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 stars. Yeah, 4 stars, which is a very, very good rating. I know I'm saying like it's not, but I actually really enjoyed it. So, yeah, that book. We then finally, after a year of not picking up a book of Harry Potter at all, picked up Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I actually really enjoyed this book. This is when I started listening to audiobooks for Harry Potter. I realised I was struggling to read the book physically. Not because I didn't like it, it's just there's a lot of words in this. They're very chunky. And I just didn't, and I know it's all on Kindle Unlimited, so I can easily read it on there, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to try and give it an audiobook a go. And oh my god, I fell in love with the audiobooks on this. I just listened to it as an audiobook whilst doing my book journal and other stuff, and I fell in love with it. And I gave it a 4 stars. And since doing this as an audiobook, I haven't gone back. I haven't actually read the books physically since. I listened to them as audiobooks. But I gave it 4 stars. This is the 4th book. This is the book where if you haven't watched the films and you haven't read the books, you don't know what I'm talking about, but it's the trials where you meet like Victor Crumb and the Erdang school. Is it Erdang? That's not that. That's not, no, it's not Erdang. That's a musical theatre school in London. Durmstrang? I don't know. And then you've got Fleur de la Cloaque, that school, and their school, which I cannot remember the name of it for the life of me. But I really, really enjoyed this book as an audiobook. 4 stars. Ooh. We're only on March, guys. We're only halfway through the year. Then we have 7 X's by Lucy Vine. This book I've not heard anyone talk about at all. Ever. And I picked it up in my 24 hours of reading because I was like, I don't know what to read. I don't know what I want to read. I want something lighthearted. And I had this. I was like, you know what? I'm going to pick this one up. I'm so glad I did. I had such a fun time with this book. I really enjoyed it. I was laughing. I could relate to things, and I was like, yes, I'm obsessed, and I do want to read it again. So I will probably be keeping this book to maybe read again. I love it. I gave it a 4.25 stars. That's how much I loved it. Then we read Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Again, this was for the video that got corrupted. Sorry guys, you didn't get my footage of loving it or enjoy reading it. But I actually really enjoyed it. I can see the hype. It wasn't my favourite book I've ever read, but it was up there with high ratings because I did enjoy it. Oh my god, I'm sorry. I just got like the worst pain on my leg because of the pins and needles. I'm like trying to move my feet, like my toes at the same time. What is this video? I enjoyed this book. I think it was a really good setup for the series. I really did enjoy the ending. I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. The thing I did enjoy the premise of the book. And so I gave it a 4.25 stars as well. Really enjoyed this book. I really wish you got my footage of me reading this book, because from what I remember, it was actually good footage. But yeah, loved it. And then we have, and this was the book I read before, and I finished in a 24-hour reading before Icebreaker, which is what I was talking about. It is A Court of Silver Flames. I absolutely love this book. I know not everyone loves this book, but the character development of Nesta, I was like, I'm here for this because it kind of made sense. Sorry. Well, no, it didn't come out. Everything made sense. The way she acted made all sense. And it, like, you learn a lot about her in this book. And her and Cassian, oh my god. I just miss this world so much. I don't think anything can replace my love for the Valaris world and the Akatar world. And I just miss it so much. I really miss the series. I miss being in this world with them. And I absolutely loved this book. I cried, I laughed, I got annoyed, and I was like, oh my god. And look how much I tapped it. I just loved it so much, and I would go back in a heartbeat and read this again when I get a chance to. It's so long, but so worth it. I gave it 5 stars. It is definitely one of my 6-star reads of 2025. 5? Have we got there already? 2024. I absolutely loved it so much. So, if you're putting this one off because you're scared, this is your sign to go read it because it's so good. And then we move on to April. Is it April? Yes. Okay, yes. Right. I was like, what? First, it's only because the first book I haven't got physically anymore, but excuse me. I am incorporating this on here because I did incorporate it in my book goal. So the first one is Hook, Line and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. I got this one for my best friend chooses the books I read. When I asked my best friend Donna to choose 3 books out of a list I gave her, and she chose this one alongside another 2. And I didn't love it. I think I read about 50 pages and I was like, I can't get into this. Sorry, I think my jeans are breaking on me, so that's something I need to buy. I was like, I just don't love this book. I was not enjoying even the first bit. It was annoying me more than anything. Oh, we love battery dying. I didn't love it. So I ended up DNFing it. Sorry, guys. I realised I'm talking for so long. Like I said, that was going to happen. We're going to try and get through these books a little bit quicker because my battery is dying and I would like to finish this without having to put this on charge and coming back. But we will see. We might not be able to do that. So then the next book in that list is... Oh, I did it around the wrong way. We're just going to go into the way the pile is because I cannot be bothered to try and sort this out. It is Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. This is the first book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series, and oh my god, I really enjoyed this book. I think I put this up because I was like, I needed a mood read, because I was doing a lot of videos where I had like specific books to read, and that was fine, but they weren't ones I was like really wanting to read. So I picked this one up. I was like, I'm gonna mood read. I need a cowboy book. I need something like the Chestnut Spring series. So I picked this one up. I loved it so much. Like, I'm sorry, Emmy and Luke, I loved them so much. Like, the angst at the beginning of the book, everything, loved it. A whole book was just phenomenal, and I just loved, because it was so short as well, it just didn't feel, it was so easy to read, and I love it. And I do love that all the books in this series are similar length. They're not like getting longer as the books go on, which I like. But yes, I really, really enjoyed this. I gave it a 4.5 stars. It was actually the highest rated of the month, which is why I think this is random away, but it's fine. So yeah. Then we have More Than Just Us by Amelia Toschi. This was her debut novel. Can we just point out, this was her debut novel, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, I loved it. Like, I actually really enjoyed it. Like, my heart went out. I cried so much at the end of this book. So much. It was just so good. It was so good. I can't remember. I read it in a video, but I can't remember what video it was for. I think it was my Attack on My TBR video. Because I remember filming myself crying. So, if you want to check that out, you can go back. But I loved it. I gave it a 4 stars. I think it's such a good debut novel. And I will definitely probably be keeping this one because it's so good. Loved it. Then we have the Legacy. We're gonna go. I've got ones that are actually on Kindle. I'll go to it in a minute. The Legacy by Elle Kennedy. This is the final book in the Off Campus series. I enjoyed it, but I think I can understand why some people don't, because it's just when I read this, I was thinking it's just gonna be everyone together. No, there's like different sections. It's like 4 different novellas in one book of like everyone's like future, like a few years in the future, and I did enjoy it. Like, it was nice to see that kind of, it was like an extended epilogue, and I liked it. I probably wouldn't, if I was to reread the series, I don't think I'd reread this book. I don't really need to, but it was cute. I actually gave it 4 stars, so obviously I enjoyed it at the time. I just don't think I would reread it. Okay, we'll do the novellas now because I forget. We had the ones on my Kindle, not just novellas. So I read Drop, Cover and Hold On, which is from the Improbable Meet Cute series on Kindle Unlimited, because I just needed something quick and easy to finish a book because I was getting a slumpy feeling. So I read that and it was fun. It was based on like an earthquake, and she had to run into like a bakery and hide there whilst the earthquake was going on, and she ends up being stuck with someone she thought hated her. I actually really enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars. It definitely got me out of a slump very quickly, which was good. But I loved it. Well, I enjoyed it. And then we read Butcher and Blackbird on my Kindle. This was meant to be for reading dark romances video. I think it turned up to be just doing a long weekend, like a reading weekend, because I had 2 days off work and I just booked 2 days off work for the fun of it because I just wanted some time off. But I read Butcher and Blackbird. I actually really enjoyed it. I haven't got the urge to pick up Leather and Luck, but I bought Butcher and Blackbird when it was like 99p on the Kindle, when it was like the beginning of the month and it was on Kindle deals for 99p. That's when I bought it because I was like, you know what, I want to read it at some point, might as well. I enjoyed it, 4.25 stars. Then we have The Situationship by Taylor Deal Rumble. Now, I don't know, I had high hopes going into this book, like really high hopes. I didn't love it. It was okay, it was average. I don't really remember the story in the slightest, so I can't tell you much about it, but I gave it a 3 stars. This was also in that same video my best friend chose my next read. I remember on a Sunday I was like, okay, I need to just finish this book now. I've been reading it for like nearly a week. I cannot really read it any longer, so I'm just gonna sit and binge it. It was meh. It was And I hate to have that kind of feeling about a book and like saying stuff like that in a book, but it's how I feel. And opinions are everyone's opinions. So. And then finally for that month we had One Day by David Nichols. Now, my best friend chose this one for that video as well. I was hoping she would, because I watched this, just before this, watched the TV show, loved it. That's when I became obsessed with Leo Woodall. Leo Woodall is like one of my favourite actors now. I love him so much. He is my celebrity crush at this current moment and has been since April time. Okay. However, I also watched a film a few years back and I was obsessed with the film. Like, I think I watched the film about 15-20 times since it's been out. Which isn't that much because considering how long it's been out for. However, it is a lot of time to rewatch a film. However, I read the book. I ended up putting it as an audiobook for most of it because I just wasn't like able to grip the book as much. So yeah, I liked it. It was good, but I could see the relations to the TV show from it. But because I think if I had watched the show, the film and the show after reading the book, I might have actually like enjoyed it more. But I'm sorry, I gave it a 3.75 stars. It was good, and I could see the relationship to the TV show, which kind of helped me enjoy it, but I just didn't love it. Oh, that's brilliant. Just stay here. Now we're moving on to May. We are now at month 5. May was a really, really slow reading month. I only had 3 books, and to be fair, they were 3 really good books. They were new releases. They were my most anticipated reads. I actually did it for a video, so I'll try my hardest not to talk too much about them. First was Wild Love by Elsie Silver. This is her new series, the Rose Hill series. And I forgot I'm getting its Billionaire series. And this follows Ford Grant, who is Willa's brother, and Rosie. And oh my god, I really enjoyed this book. I don't remember much about it, I ain't gonna lie to you now, but I did love it. I did really enjoy it. I gave it a 4 stars. 4 stars? Yeah, 4 stars. It was a good book. It was enjoyable. It was single dads. And I really enjoyed the book. So definitely recommend it. And could say it was good. That's why I say May was a really good reading month, because the next book I read was Funny Story by Emily Henry, and oh my god, this is my favourite Emily Henry book ever, I think, alongside Happy Place, like 2 of my favourite books. I read this, like, the point where I went to London for a Friday night, and I went from, like, I had a half day at work. I had a half day, and a half day, so then I think it was a half day, I don't remember if it was a half day or a whole day off. I want to say it was a half day. Anyway, I went to London. I was like sitting in Starbucks and just reading a physical book in London. And I don't like carrying hardbacks around with me, so you can tell I was obsessed with it because I was like, need to finish it. I was obsessed. I loved it so much. I gave it 4.75. Yes, it was so good. And then we read Magnolia Park's Into the Dark. Yes, this book, I love it so much. This book, again, this is why I say it's a tie between this and Long Way Home. I can't tell you which one I love more. I love this book so much. Like, I didn't want it to end. It's such a long book. Like, it's the longest one out of the 3 of that Magnolia Park's books. And actually it's the longest one of the whole series. However, I didn't want it to end. I wanted more. I didn't want it to stop. I was obsessed with this book. I remember reading it, and I actually finished it on the way to my friend's baby shower. And I was like, oh, now what do I do? Because I was sitting on I was sitting on a train, and I was like, oh, I finished it, now what? Like, I had to try my hardest not to cry, because I was on a train, and I had makeup on, it was waterproof, and I was also hungover, so I was like, nope. But, oh my god, it was so good, loved it. Moving on to June, we have June, and this is when I actually, surprisingly again, got through quite a few books, considering I did a show in June. Okay, I did a show in June. How did I get through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books? I don't know, but I did. First one being If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. I needed to get this off my TBR. Another one I had to get off, otherwise I was gonna have to do nothing, like unhaul it. I am one of the minorities who does not like this book. I didn't hate it, I just didn't love it. It cringed me out a lot. There's certain things about it I was just like, okay, like, I know it's YA, supposedly, but, and maybe that's why, because I'm not a massive lover of YA. Like, I like some YA, but like not all YA. However, I just didn't love it. I gave it, I don't know why I put that over here, because I can't see it. I gave it a 3 stars. It wasn't the worst written book. I just found it a bit and annoying, and I just didn't love it, so I will not be reading the second book. I honestly don't know what the second book is about and what they could do in a second book, considering I think it's Finn's point of view, and if that is the case, because it's called If I Had Told Her, I think it's called, and I'm like, I don't really care for Finn's point of view. No. Sorry, but no. We then read Powerful by Lauren Roberts. This is the novella in the Powerless series, and it's about Adina, who is Payden's best friend, basically, and it's about her and Makato, and she's basically, it's like her story that's in between the first book, kind of thing. And I gave it a 3.75 stars. I actually thought it was really good and a really powerful story. I really enjoyed it. But I feel like there could have been more to it. I feel like this could have been a proper book. If it was like a normal sized book and not a novella, I would have loved it more. And I think they should have just done a normal sized book for Adina's story. Next we have Carrie Soto Is Back. Yes, I finally read it. I bought this the day it was released, and I think it was in 2022. Because I remember being like, oh my god, it's Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love her books. I love Seven Husbands. I love Daisy Jones and the Six. I love One True Loves, the 3 I've read. And so I was like, yeah. And it took forever to pick this one up. Now, I didn't hate this one. I don't think. Where are we? I didn't hate it. It was average. It was not my favourite. I think there's certain bits I got annoyed with the Spanish speaking, because I was like, I can't understand. I did listen to a lot of it as an audiobook because I was struggling to get into it at first. So I was like, we're going to do an audio. I gave it a 3.75. It's not my favourite Taylor Jenkins Reid book. Maybe because I didn't read Malibu Rising and that might be why. I don't know if it needed to. But it just didn't give me the same feeling as I got from Seven Husbands or Daisy Jones. So, yeah. Then we read Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Finally started this series. I love Abby Jimenez's writing. I figured that one out this year. I really love Abby Jimenez. I don't remember reading this one that much, but I do remember enjoying it. I gave it a 4.25? 4 stars. 4 stars. 4 stars. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed this book. And I really loved. I got annoyed. Alexis annoyed me a little bit at first. But as time went by, I actually learned to like her. Then we read Mile High by Liz Tomford, the first book in the Windy City series, and I enjoyed it so much. Like, I really enjoyed this. Stevie and Sanders was something I just did not expect. Like, so many people said that this was their least favourite. So many people said they didn't like this one. Some people said they DNF'd this one, and I was like, really? And I can understand that's their own opinion again. I really enjoyed it. I listened to the majority of it as an audiobook because I needed to. It was my book club pick of the month at the time, and I was like, I need to read it. Oh, by the way, I have a book club. Go join. I really enjoyed this book and I gave it a 4 stars. I think it was a very easy read. I really, really loved it. And then, because I miss Sarah J Maas's writing and I miss being in her worlds, I decided to start the Throne of Glass series. I actually am reading it in the way of the publication order, basically. But I read Throne of Glass, the first book, and I actually really enjoyed it. I'm happy to be back in another world of hers, but I am taking it very, very slow. I'm very, very slow. Because I've only read 2 of the books so far. And there's 5 more to go. No, 6 more to go? 5 more? 6 more to go. And yeah, I gave this one a 4 stars. And I really did enjoy it. And I'm happy I've got it off. I've actually started the series instead of being scared off. Then, finally in June, we read King of Wrath by Anna Huang. I also decided to start another Anna Huang series because I really, really missed Anna Huang's writing and I really missed her. And oh my god, this book. Everyone, this book. I loved it so much. I just was obsessed. Like, Dante and Vivian, I was hooked. Again, I listened to a lot of it as an audiobook, but I loved it. I gave it 4.75 stars. And that, guys, is June. So we're now moving to July. July was a bit of a quieter month for book reading. And it's mainly because, one, I went to New York that month. And obviously, that was a hectic week. And it kind of took over my whole life. Because once I came back, I just couldn't stop thinking about it. I also read a really, really chunky book, which is actually the first book I'm going to talk about. And it is Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. Yes, I finally read the Binding 13 series. I did start tabbing it when I first started reading it, and then I just read it all on Kindle and didn't tab anymore. But I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I think it was actually done really well. Like, obviously, I didn't enjoy it because it was so happy. I like a book that can tear at my emotions, can take me all around a roller coaster, and just have me rooting for a character. And I really was rooting for Shannon and Johnny in this whole book. I loved it. I didn't give it 5 stars. It wasn't a 5-star feeling. It was a 4. I think I gave it 4.5 stars. Yes, 4.5 stars. I thought it was done really well. It was written really well. And I really, really enjoyed their story. And I actually loved it. Then I also finished like the 24 hour of reading. I then read Reckless by Lauren Roberts. This book, yes, was very good. No, I actually really enjoyed it. Out of the 3 books so far, I think this is my favourite. I loved it. The cliffhanger at the end is making me really annoyed because I have to wait till next year. Well, this year when you're watching it, for the last book. I need it now. Like, right now, Lauren Roberts, if you just want to, like, drop it to my house, send it on my Kindle, send it to my house, please do. I would love you for that. because I just need to know what happens. But I gave this a 4.75 stars. It was so good. It was very, very good. And I loved it. Who's we? I then picked up The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. This is the second book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. I read the first one in like October, November time 2023 and then never picked this one up for ages. I finally did, and I'm so glad I did because I loved it. I loved it. 5 stars. 5 stars, guys. 5 stars. Loved it so much. And then we move on to... I'm like an old person. That's gonna... Right. We move on to August. I can't work out my months apparently. It's just gone too fast. Move on to August. Again, this was quite a good reading month. So let's go on with it. We have Crown of Midnight by Sarah J Maas. This is the second one in the Throne of Glass series. And I really enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed like learning more of Selena's story and everything that happened. It was very fun. I gave it a 4.5 stars. When I say it's a good reading month, we don't have anything lower than a 4-star rating this month. Oh my god. So I gave this a 4.5 stars. Really, really enjoyed it. I then read A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. I finally finished the trilogy. It took me a while, but I did. I knew I needed to read this whilst the second one was still fresh in my mind, so I had to pick it up in August. So I picked this one up, and I actually gave it a 4.5 stars as well. I really enjoyed it, just not as much as Ballad of Never After. I think there were certain parts I got annoyed. Anyone who's read this book will know what happened to Selena in this book, and I'm like, it was annoying me so much. So 4.5 stars. I am kind of trying to go through it a bit faster because I've realised I've probably spoken for an hour. Like, what time is it on my phone now? I've nearly been doing this for an hour and we're not even like, we literally just got to August and I've got to edit all this. And also my camera's like, needs charging and I'd rather try and get this all done before that. So that's why I'm going through it. Also, a lot of these are in videos. You see my proper thoughts. We then have The Bodyguard by Catherine Centre, my first ever Catherine Centre book, and I'm hopefully not the last. I love this book so much, like so much. I even then recommended it to my friend who's not a reader, and she loved it. So I gave this book a 5 stars. If you haven't guessed, I gave it a 5 stars. I'm pretty sure it's a 6-star read because I love it so much. But yeah. I then did a reread of a book I read in 2023 because obsessed, and it is Fourth Wing. I wanted to reread it so bad because I got the paperback and was like, I'm going to annotate this one like thoroughly, and I wanted to reread it so bad. I wanted to be back in that world, and oh my god, I loved it so much. Again, 5 stars. It's so good. I loved it. I feel like I need to do a reread of Iron Flame because the next one comes out at the end of January, and I don't know if I really remember what happened, but I do. I feel like I just need to reread the end or have like someone do a summary. So I might look that up on YouTube. We then have King of Pride, which I kind of forgot I read in August, but I did read it. And I gave it 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed this book. I loved it. I think I listened to this one as an audiobook as well. Between an audiobook and on Kindle, because I definitely did not read it physically. Because I did an audiobook because I think I needed to get it done at a certain time and I was running out of time, so yes, I did it as an audiobook, but I gave it 5 stars. I loved everything about this book. This is Kai's and Isabella's story, and you got snippets of both of them in the first book, which made me so excited for this book, and I loved it. And then finally we read The Right Move by Liz Tomford. Again, this one on The Bodyguard and another book coming up in September was picked by 3 of my favourite booktubers. This was picked by Ella Rose Reads, and I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. Loved everything about it. I did again listen to this as an audiobook because why not? My camera is flashing at me. So I'm going to quickly talk about this one and then I'll charge it and come back to do the rest of the months. So yeah. I love this book, so 5 stars. I will see you again in about a few hours time. Okay, we are back. The angle might have changed, might look slightly different. And there's not as many books around me now because my camera died. So I stopped at the end of August. Was it August? Yes. and I put the books away from what I already spoke about. So the ones on the shelves, the ones I'm keeping, the ones I'm unhauling, which will be in my doing book stuff video you will see. I will literally just gonna tell you what books I'm unhauling in that video, which I will do when I finish this. So let's continue the end of year book wrap up. I hope you still got your drink at hand. When you're watching this, there's gonna be no breaks, so I don't know what I'm talking about, but let's go. We've only got 4 more months to talk about, so it shouldn't be too long. So we're in September. In September we read Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I absolutely love this book. I definitely want to reread it because I want to annotate it. I laughed so much at this book. I was reading it on a... I went to Nottingham for the first time in August, and the journey from here to Nottingham was quite far. It's a long journey. It's enough time for me to sit and read a book on a train journey. Oh my god, I read so much of this on that journey, that to and from, and I was laughing so much. It was making me laugh so much I couldn't help but find it so funny. And I honestly can't tell you how much I just want to pick it up again and reread it and annotate it. So at some point, hopefully next year, I will. This is why I say you might get a few reread videos, because I do really want to reread this book. And I just loved the story and everything about it. So I gave this 5 stars, if you couldn't tell by my excitement. And yeah, I loved it. Loved it. Then we read The Housemaid's Secret. This was for a video. Again, that was also for a video, but this is for a video, and this was the second book in the Housemaid series. And at first when I read it, I rated it like 4 stars. I was like so obsessed. And then I really thought about it and really thought of the reasoning behind of why one of the characters did what they did. And I was like, no, not really valid for the reason what she did. Like, the first one was very valid, this one was not. This was very stupid and very childish, I guess. It was like immature is my answer. So I gave this a 3 stars because I just felt like if the reasoning had a very powerful reasoning behind it, I'd have been like, okay, I can accept it and it's just justifiable, but I could not justify the reasoning for this one at all. And I know it's a thriller and I know it's a fiction, but I was just like, if you gave the character more of a story arc as well, I would have been like, okay, yeah. Then I read, let me have a look at this. I read 2 books on my Kindle. Basically, haven't got physical copies of them. First of all was The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. I did not love this book. I actually did not finish it. I DNF'd this book. I couldn't get into it. I think I was about 40% of the way through, and I was just struggling to enjoy it, and I was just like struggling to read it. I was like, So I DNF'd it, and I'm sorry. Like, it was a book I really wanted to read for ages. Like, I was so excited. I was like, yes, it's on Kindle. I can read it on Kindle. I'm so excited. And then I was like, I was not enjoying it. So I was like, I have to DNF this book, sadly, and I did. But then I read a book called Spookily Yours by Jennifer... I cannot remember the last name. Jennifer something. I honestly don't remember the name off the top of my head. Actually, I could probably find out for you if I look in my trusty book journal. Oh, it is September. Oh, and I covered the name up. Okay, I don't know. Sorry, I thought it would have been in my journal, but it's not. So I can't remember the name. Spookily Yours. It was so good. I really enjoyed it. It was short. It was very easy to read. It made me laugh. I was hooked on the characters. The cat was a demon, and the girl, female main character is a witch, and I just loved it. It was so fun, and it was so nice to have something for the season that was approaching. So obviously it was my Halloween video that was for, so I read the books in September rather than October, but I honestly loved it. And next year I hope to read the second book, which is called Wickedly Yours, which is the female main character's sister, and I loved it. And then we picked up Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. This was for a mood reading vlog, and I picked this up because I really wanted to read it, and I really enjoyed it. Like, I really enjoyed Ada and Wes's story. I just loved everything about it. I was so hooked on it. I just couldn't stop putting it down. I also love these covers. I again love the length. Love these covers. They're just stunning. It has made me very excited for the fourth book, Wild and Wrangled, because we got snippets of the characters from that for that book in this book, and it's making me so excited. But obviously I still need to read Lost and Lassued, which is Teddy and Gus's story, which I've been so excited since the first book. I actually started it when I was like in a bit of a slump, so I didn't want to read it whilst I was feeling that, because I was like, I want to enjoy this book. So I haven't picked it back up just yet, but I will soon. But I really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 4. It was just a 4 stars. I thought I gave more, but just a 4 stars. I really loved it. It was really good, really well written. Then we finally picked up a book from a series I started in 2023, and a series I actually love, and I don't know why I didn't continue until now. I really love the series. It's something I think has a hold on me that I don't think I'm gonna. It's like the Magnolia Park series for me. It's got a really big hold on me, and I just can't stop thinking about it. And it is Hot House Flower by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is the fifth book in the whole series. This is the second Calloway Sister book, and I loved it. Like, this is my favourite book of the whole series so far. Like, my favourite one so far. I honestly cannot tell you how much I love this book. I loved Reich and Daisy so much. Like, this follows Daisy Calloway, who is the younger sister of Rose and Lily, and they've got an older sister, Poppy, as well, who you hear about, but you don't really see anything about her. But it's the youngest Calloway sister, and then you spell Reich, who is Lo's brother, or Lo's half brother. Yeah, Lo's half brother, and it follows like Daisy and Reich's story, but you've obviously got the snippets of Rose and Connor and Lily and Lo in it, and you hear stuff about Lily and Lo that you don't get into a book later on in the series, which we'll get to in a bit. But like, there's some things in it, like there's a certain scene, and it really, really hit me, and you hear about it again in Thrive, because it's basically around Reich and Lo. But I loved it, and I just loved everything about this book so much, because I already knew from day one that Reich and Daisy were going to be my favourites, just by the way they are together, and how like theirs is technically forbidden romance. Like, Connor and Rose were not forbidden romance, like that was obviously going to happen. Lily and Lo are like the start of the series, you kind of know they're going to be a romance. They are a romance, even at the beginning they're just best friends faking dating, but you know it's going to turn into more. Reich and Daisy are forbidden. There was an age gap. Reich had promised Lo that he would never do anything with Daisy. So like, I knew from day one, like when I picked this book up, I was gonna love it and love them, because I love a forbidden romance anyway. I just find them more interesting and exciting to read, because I'm like, oh, but how are they gonna get there? But also, I just think their energies are like something I love to read about, and I just love it. Like, I don't have that energy, like the way they have, like that adventurousness, but I loved reading about it, and I was obsessed. I honestly tell you how much I love this book so much. Like, this is definitely by far my favourite one, so it's why I cannot wait for, I think their other one is Long Way Down, I think. So yes, I'm very excited to continue the series in 2025, because I love this series, and I think when I finish it I'm going to be very sad, because it's a 10-book series and it's just so good. And I remember the reason I started reading this was because Destiny Sidwell literally went on about how good these books were and how much she loved them, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I need to read them. So then we have, if I can pick it up, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Is that one right? Yes. This book, look how chunky it is. Look at it. I did this one as an audiobook. Why is some of the pages all messed up? I literally did this as an audiobook. I can't remember if it was in a video or not, so I'm sorry. It probably was, but I just don't remember. This is one chunky book. It's like 800 pages, nearly. Basically 800 pages. I literally did it as an audiobook, because like I said, when I read Goblet of Fire, that's where I got my love for audiobooks of the Harry Potter series. I loved everything about this book, like, so much, because like, I enjoy the film of Order of the Phoenix, but there's so much missing in that, and you could tell because of how long this book is. In that film, like, I get, like, you can only put a certain amount in a film, that you can't have everything, but I like, if you look at this in Deathly Hallows is smaller. Yeah, that's 2 parts. This book is 1 film. And they missed out certain things, like even certain small little things they could have put in which would not have taken any extra time up. Just they didn't put in. And there's certain things that I felt, my heart felt more connected to the book for this one than the film. And I loved it. And that's saying something, because I love the Harry Potter films with my whole heart. Like, they are literally, it's my go-to series, my favourite series to watch. I watch it so many times. I can't tell you how many times I've rewatched this series. It's got a chokehold on me. It has since I was a child. It sticks with me. A little bit of a spoiler. It's not a spoiler, but something to maybe dampen the mood. I don't know why I did this. Maybe to dampen the mood a little bit. Basically, my granddad passed away this year in 2024, and when I was younger, it was something I watched with my granddad. Like, he took me to the cinema to watch it, and we did stuff like. So the series reminds me of him in some ways, but like in a good way. Like, I think it's always a good thing. It will always, and now every time I watch it, I think of my granddad in a good way. Not like, oh, I'm really sad that he's gone. Like, in a happy way, knowing I got this experience with my granddad, and like, I'm the luckiest girl in the world to have a granddad who had a love for movies and stuff, because I think that's where I got my love for movies and stuff like that. So yeah, but 5 stars. This book, loved it. Then we have, are we on to October? We are close to the end, guys. I hope you're excited. We've got a few books, 3 months left, 3 months left. So in October, we finally picked up Behind the Net. This was my book club pick for one of the months, and I never read it. So I finally read it. I don't know if it was... and I genuinely really enjoyed it. So I don't know why it took me so long to pick it up, because I really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 4.25 stars. I genuinely cannot speak now, apparently. Like I said, I got pain here, and it's not really pain, it's a bit stronger, but it's not as bad. But I could just feel it, and I think that's what it's doing it. But anyway, 4.25 stars. Really, really enjoyed this book. Really, really loved the story, and cannot wait for the fake out, because this book really set that one up, and I'm so excited. And if you saw my what I got for Christmas video, you would have seen I got the Wingman as well for Christmas. So I'm very excited to get to these books. They're sitting up here because I have no space myself, but. And then the next one we have is actually a book my dad is currently reading now. It is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Now, I had this book, I bought these books from TikTok Shop because I wanted this covers, not the UK covers. And I was waiting to get it, and then it came on TikTok Shop for like £20 for 3 books. I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to do it. I have been saying I need to read it, but it took me forever. And I was going into a little bit of a slump, and I was like, you know what, I need to make this a different genre. So I picked up this book. Now, this book, literally, I loved it. I loved this book. I actually loved the whole series. We'll get to that because I actually did finish the whole series this year. So I feel proud of myself. I picked it up this year and I finished it this year, and I'm very proud of myself for that. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I loved the twists and turns. I loved hearing Avery's story. I loved everything about it, and I can't tell you how much I did. At the point of that, I want to reread it. And another one, like The Bodyguard, I told my best friend about this book. She was like, wants another book to read, and I said, get this because it'll literally keep you on your toes. You'll want to know what happened. She's on the second book. She loved the first one. So, what can I say except you're welcome, Donna. I really, really love this book, and I'm so happy with it. To the point where I tried to tell my dad about it, so he wanted to read it. He is only on chapter 4. The chapters are super short. So it's going to be a while for him to read this. I need to give this back to him tonight after I finish filming this video, so he can read it whenever he gets a chance to. Obviously, because I'm not going to be reading it. I'm not going to be reading it again, probably not, because now I know the story. I'm like, it's a mystery, and the thing is, if I read it again, I'm going to be reminded of, I already know what happens. So I was going to unhaul the other 2 books, but I can't because my dad's reading it, so I will keep them for his sake. But I don't need to rush for this to come back because he's going to be reading it, so yeah. Next, we read Wildfire by Hannah Grace. This is the second book in the Maple Hill series. I thoroughly enjoyed this a lot more than Icebreaker. Like, I love this book. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't say what I gave Inheritance Games. I gave Inheritance Games 4.5 stars. Yeah, but anyway, I really enjoyed this book compared to the Inheritance Game. I gave this one a 4 point. This is what I prefer this one over the Icebreaker. Am I okay? You can tell I've had a nap because my brain has gone a little bit to sleep. Wildfire by Hannah Grace, I gave 4.75 stars, which I prefer over Icebreaker. I really enjoyed the story. I loved Russ and Aurora, and I loved everything about this book, and it was just so good, and it kept me on my toes. I was so excited to read it every day. So yeah. And then we've read Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez for the final book in October, and when I tell you, this book was everything. I loved it so much. This was in a book for Bookmas, so you should have hopefully recently watched it. If you haven't, go back and watch it. The colour will choose my next read. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I think it was Bookmas. Oh no, I don't think it was Bookmas. I think it came out in November. I can't really remember. I don't know. It all merges together. But I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Brianna and Jacob's story was just amazing, and 5-star read. 5-star read, this book. This book's 5 stars. Abby Jimenez just knows how to write really good books that you're really connected to. Like, I'm not keeping Part of Your World. I'm actually going to unhaul that one, spoiler. But I'm keeping this one because I just love it. And I want to reread it, and I actually want to annotate it. So, yeah. And then let's move these ones forward. We have now got November and December. So we are nearly finished, guys. This has been a whirlwind to actually talk about all the books that I've read this year, because I actually kind of forgot that I read some of these this year, so it's actually quite fun. Obviously these ones are a bit more fresh in memory because it is the last 2 months. We're going to start with the first one, which is Cross the Line by Simone Sultani. I DNF'd this book. I got to about here. I done the one thing I hate, and that is dogged the book, because I thought I was going to pick it back up, but I didn't want to keep a bookmark in it. So I read this much, and I just really couldn't get into it. Like, I love the sprayed edges, and that's what makes me really sad that I'm not gonna continue reading it, because I love the sprayed edges, but I just couldn't get into it. And again, I know I was going through a slumpy kind of phase at that time, but it's not the point. Like, I just know if I was to look at it now, but like, it is on Kindle Unlimited. I still got it in my Kindle library at where I left off, so if I really need to, I'll just pick it up from there. But I just don't. I tried audiobooking it, I tried Kindle, I tried reading it on it, all of it, just couldn't do it. I just couldn't. And so, unfortunately, this was a DNF, and I probably won't be picking it back up. So, then we read Caraval by Stephanie Garber. This was, I don't think it ended up in a video. No, it didn't, because it was meant to be with that book. It was my Instagram. It was going to be Instagram choosing my next read. My Instagram followers. But then I was going for a slump. Really wasn't enjoying that book, and then the clips I was recording, I just did not like them. And I was like, I'm not uploading something during Bookmas that I don't like just for the sake of uploading, because the last thing I want. I'm a person who, and this is a little spoiler, as much as I love being consistent, I love my YouTube, but I'm not going to upload something I'm not happy with for the world to see. I'm pretty sure that's the same for most YouTubers out there. They don't just post things for the sake of it. I would rather, I mean, I'm glad I managed to get a different video in place of that, but otherwise I would have just had to like have one less video in Bookmas and just be like, sorry guys, because I just couldn't upload that video. The footage was so bad. I hated the clips. I sounded so miserable in a lot of them. Because all I was doing was moaning, and I know I was moaning about the book, but I think it was just a bit meh. So sorry. But I did read Caraval, and I did enjoy it. It was the first one in the Caraval trilogy. And it was apparently her debut novel. Interesting. Didn't know that till now. I do kind of wish I read this series first before Once Upon a Broken Heart series, because I think, because I know what happened in those books, it's kind of like defeating my interest. But obviously there's a very different story to the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. So I wouldn't say I hate it, yeah. I gave this a 3.5 stars. I was interested, I did enjoy it. I'm hoping when I get onto Legendary it will be more enjoyable. I probably am going to unhaul this one as well, now that I've read it, because I don't need to keep it just because I've got the other ones, because I'm not going to reread this book. I'm not having the urge to go and pick it back up, so I'm not going to like go, okay, let's keep it. I have to be very, I will talk about it in my unhaul when I'm doing book stuff, but I have to be very strict with what books I keep from the year I've read, the last year I've read, because unfortunately I do not have space to be holding the books that I read in 2024, the books that I read in 2025, and all the books I still want to read. Like, I just don't have space for that, so yeah. Then we read A Merry Little Meet Cute by Sierra Simone and Julie Murphy. Now, if you've watched my the last day of Bookmas, you would have saw my thoughts of this. I did not enjoy this book at all. I just thought it was a pretty crappy book. I'm sorry, that's really harsh to say crappy book, but it was not my favourite. I did not love it. I gave it a 2.5 stars, which I think is a very generous rating for this book. It was just I just didn't see it. The chemistry just wasn't there. The story just wasn't there. I didn't care. Like, even at the ending when there was like some kind of big resolve, still didn't care. And I was just like, no. But then we read, for that same video, All I Want for Christmas by Maggie Knox. Now, this book, I actually really enjoyed. For a Christmas book, I really enjoyed it. There was things that annoyed me, like our main male character. I definitely got extremely annoyed with, because he was just not. There was some things he did that I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, grow up. But all in all, it was actually a good book, and I was interested, intrigued, entertained, excited to continue reading. So I did love it. I gave it a 3.75 stars because I genuinely did enjoy it, and I think it has made me want to pick up the holiday swap next year for Christmas, because I did really enjoy her writing in this book. So then we read The Hawthorne Legacy, which is the second one in the Inheritance Game trilogy. And when I say this, I was literally going through a slump when I picked this book up, and this took me out of that slump like that. And I was like, yes, thank you. This is what I needed when I was feeling slumpy again. I've been definitely in moments of slumpiness this year, but like I think it's because of the amount of books I've been trying to read at a pace of time. But I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed the story, the twists and turns, and everything about it, and what came about it. In my eyes, this series could have ended here, and I'd have been happy. Like, this is literally my favourite book of the whole series. I loved everything about this one. I gave this a 4.5 stars. I think that was the same as what I gave Inheritance Games. I'd just spoken about it, but apparently I don't remember. Yeah. I loved them both equally, I think, but this one a bit more, just slightly bit more. Just everything that happened in this book just felt like prevalent to the story. Is that a word? I don't know. I was making a word up, I think. But it just felt like right. Like, it literally just picked up where you left off in the first book, basically. So I kind of like that. And the first book left on a cliffhanger, when this one doesn't really leave on a cliffhanger. So in my eyes, I'm like, it could have ended here. And that would have been fine with me. But I really enjoyed it. Then I picked up another book that I'm obsessed with and so happy I read, and it's Ready or Not by Cara Bastone. This book is incredible. It's a great story. It was so funny. I loved everything about it. The banter between main character Eve and her best friend's brother Shep, but also the story between the guy who is her baby daddy and her best friend as well. I just loved everything about it. I will be keeping this book and rereading and annotating it as well. It's just so good. Again, it's Accidental Pregnancy. It's another one like Out on the Limb, and if you liked Out on the Limb, I think you'll like this book. I just think it's so good. I think the differences to this and Out on a Limb is Out on the Limb, like, literally, it's just the two guys, the girl and the boy, and they form a connection. When this book there's two guys involved. It's, yeah. But it's so good, and I loved it so much. I gave it a 4.75. I don't really know what the bit was missing to make it a 5 stars, but I really, really enjoyed this book, and I actually cannot tell you how much I love this book, and I love this cover. I love everything about it, and I just... so good. Ow. Don't really hurt. Then, is this the final book of the month? Yeah, the final book of November was Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Now, anyone who knows me knows this is my favourite film. These are The Prisoner of Azkaban are two of my favourite films of Harry Potter. It's my first top 2. I love this film so much, and I love The Prisoner of Azkaban book and film. this book was just as much my favourite as the film was. I loved it. I love this so much. I just think it's such a good book. It was written so well, and I again listened to it as an audiobook because, spoiler, I prefer them as an audiobook. And I probably, because I'm going to keep Audible when I finish Harry Potter, and I definitely had those on there, I'm probably going to like listen to get the Lord of the Rings books on there and actually try to read them. Because everyone keeps telling me, you need to read those books, you need to read those books. I'm like, okay, I will, but I don't want to, because they're so long. I'm like, I don't want to read the actual book. I'll listen to it. But I absolutely love this book. I gave it a 5 stars, as far as I'm aware. Yep, 5 stars. Because why? Because it's just so good. It was so good. Like, anyone who knows about this book or the film, you know what happens. And I can just tell you, I was crying at the end. Hearing them growing up, like the love those things they find their first like loves and those things. I felt more towards them in the book than in the film. And it might be a little bit of a spoiler, but Harry and Ginny's kiss in the book was so much better in the book than it was in the film. But I kind of get why they couldn't do that in the film. But I won't talk more about that. Now we're moving on to December. The month we're currently in when I'm filming, so obviously there might be another one for December, but so far in December I'm going to talk about 2 that are on my Kindle first, because otherwise I'll forget, and they're both novellas, and they're both from this Christmas novellas that come out that are similar to the Improbable Meet Cute one, but I don't remember what the novellas are called, like what the umbrella was called. But the first one I read was Merry Ever After by Tessa Bailey. This is the one I read that took me to my 70-bit goal on Christmas Eve at work, which is kind of nice. It was reading a Christmas novella at work the day before Christmas. I found it was cute. It was literally like 58 pages. It was not long. It was an easy book to read. Got through it really quickly. I gave it 2 stars. It was nothing heroic. It was nothing amazing. It was meh. It was good. I enjoyed it. But it is a novella. There's not much I can give to you that, because it's such an insta-love thing, and I'm not a massive insta-love fan. The next one is Cruel Winter With You by Ali Hazelwood. Again, another one of those novellas. I gave it a 2.5. I really enjoyed it. Again, I don't remember much what happened in it. I read it in my 24 hours of reading that is coming up in January, so keep an eye out for that. I did it for that when I was just like, I need a little bit of a palate cleanser. I just need a break. And I was like, I need something. So I read it then. So keep an eye out for that. And then I read part of that 24 hours of reading, The Final Gambit, which is the last book in the Inheritance Games trilogy. And I didn't hate this book. I won't lie to you, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it as much as I loved the Hawthorne Legacy. Now, I will say, when I did this 24 hours of reading, I felt a bit like rough at the same time. So I was struggling anyway. But this made me struggle a lot more, because it wasn't as gripping as the Hawthorne Legacy was, or the Inheritance Games was. I feel like there was so much that this book just did not need to be a book. Like, I think it was quite obvious that one person who came into the book was gonna be someone they couldn't trust. That's all I'm going to say. I think it was quite, it just didn't need to happen. This is what I mean when I said the second book could have been where it ended and I'd have been happy. So yeah, I gave this a 3 stars, which is the lowest of the 3 of them. I didn't love it, I didn't hate it, I think it's a good roundup, but I just think it didn't need to happen. Then I read, not for the same video, but apparently it's the one I put next. It is The Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This has been on my TBR for just over a year. It was the book I got when I first went into the big Waterstones in Piccadilly, in London, and I picked it up because I was like, I want it. I've been wanting it for a while, and it was on my 24 books of 2024 that I needed to read, and I read near enough most of them. I won't lie. We can have a look at that at the end quickly. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna read it, but I didn't love it. I won't lie to you. It is for a video. I didn't say I was going to read it. It's actually specifically for a video that's coming up in January. I think it might be the first proper reading vlog of January, so keep an eye out for that. I didn't hate it. It just didn't give me what I was thinking it was going to be. Like, I got the fantasy vibe in it, but it didn't feel fantasy, really. It just felt a bit... I don't even know how to describe it. It was alright. I mean, I could pick up the second one. I kind of would love to know what happened with Roman after the end of this book, but I don't care enough to go out and buy it. Like, if it ever becomes on a 99p deals on Kindle, I'll buy it for a 99p deal on Kindle. But I ain't gonna go out of my way and actually buy the physical copy because I don't really care enough to read it. So yeah, I gave this a 3.5 stars. Go there. And then we picked up, during that 24 hours of reading, Thrive by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is the 6th book in the series. 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 6th book in the series. Don't have to have to count that. And this is the 4th Lillian Lowe story. And you're getting basically everything that happened in Kiss the Sky and Hot House Flower, but their perspective in this. And when I think this, I know not everyone loves this one because it is like a repeat of things they've already read, and I got it. But because I hadn't read Kiss the Sky for so long, like Kiss the Sky read in 2023, I kind of forgot what happened in that book. So a lot of it was like, oh yeah, that happened. So it kind of was nice to reread it because I was like, okay, now I'm understanding. Now I'm like being refreshed. And then something happens in the middle of basically the two that I didn't know happened, but is always lured to in Hot House Flower. And I'm like, but what happened? Like, what actually happened? And then they speak about it in Hot House Flower, and I'm like, I don't really know why they're talking about that because I haven't read that anywhere. But then it happens in this book, and I'm like, oh, it makes sense now. It all makes sense now. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed Lillian Lowe's story in this. I definitely think it wasn't my favourite of the series, but I definitely gave it a high rating because I did enjoy it still. And it did remind me of why I love Lillian Lowe as much as I love Ryk and Daisy and Rose and Connor. I'd say my favourite couple would be Ryk and Daisy, then Lillian Lowe, then Rose and Connor. And that's not in like going Rose and Connor are my least favourite. Like, they're all high up. Yeah. I gave this a 4.5 stars. And then finally, for the same video I read Divine Rivals in, I read this book in. I started it in July and then put it down. And I'm so glad I finally read it this year because I loved it. It is Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh. Obviously, Binding 13, I told you how I felt about this one, but this one just... This book had me in I just loved it. I literally cannot tell you how much I loved it. I had physical tears coming down my eyes in this book, guys. Like, I was proper bawling my eyes out. I was on edge. If you've read this book, you'll know why a lot of things, like the emotions I'm going through in this book. I loved it so much. I could read another 800 pages of Johnny and Shannon. Really could. Like, I loved it. I cannot tell you how much I love this book, and I really want to read it again already, but I have got the next 2 books to read, so I'm really happy because I got those for Christmas, so I can read Saving 6 and Redeeming 6 now, and I'm excited. But I'm so glad I finally started the Boys of Tommen series and I've actually like got into it. But I gave this a 4.75 stars, but I think I'm going to up it to 5. Because it's been nearly a week since I read it, and I cannot stop thinking about it, so I definitely think I'm going to up it to 5. So that is actually all of the 70 books that I read in 2024. Wow. I actually cannot believe I've read 70 books, and this video is probably about an hour and a half long. I do apologise to you in advance. I already did actually, so that's a lie. But let's quickly go through what books on my 24 books of 2024 that I didn't read. So, I didn't read Things I Wanted to Say by Monica Murphy. I unhauled Unravel Me. I DNF'd Hook, Line and Sinker. I unhauled Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I didn't read Collided, and I didn't read Forget Me Not. So we read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 18 out of 24 books. I think that's pretty good. So we'll just go through the ones I did read now. I read A Court of Silver Flames, Powerless, The Ballad of Never After, Twisted Lies, Love Redesigned, Mile High, Spanish Love Deception, Binding 13, Say You Swear, Divine Rivals, Throne of Glass, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Hot House Flower, The Goal, Icebreaker, Carrie Soto Is Back, Behind the Net, and Funny Story. And I think I did a pretty good job this year. I've read a lot, and so yeah, anyway, that is the end of the video, finally. If you've got this far, please comment down below how many books you read this year. Just because, and I do want to say, if you've got this far, because I should have said it at the beginning, I'm not bragging that I've read 70 books. I know some people read 10 books and that is still a successful year of reading. It's whatever you put your mind to. I set a goal of 70 and I reached it. And I'm really proud of myself. But obviously, not everyone has the time to do that. I don't know how I have the time to do it half the time, but I did it. But not everyone has the time to do that. 10 books a year? That is it. That's a goal. If you set yourself a goal of 2 books a year, that's amazing. Reading 1 book a year is still an achievement, so don't think it's so sad just because I've said I've done 70. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you're ready for the new year of videos. And if you do enjoy them, please give the video a thumbs up, please comment down below, please subscribe, and I will see you again very soon with another video which will not be this long. Bye.